Anyway, like I say, black people actually used to look like bats, or like there are some black people that were like bats, or like gorilla, or like monkeys or something like that. You know, they had kind of like a thing, and then their mouth went kind of out and then back down, and they're all black, and they had all like this, and they had really long necks and stuff like that. And I asked, like I said, I had there were some Irish people, and I asked them. I said, "What happened to them? How did they get like this?" And they said they did it to themselves. You know, and I said, "Why did they come after me?" And like I said, I love the Irish. He was like, "Don't count yourself lucky, Miss the Little Master. They went after everyone." It's like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, don't think you're so special. They went after everyone, even themselves. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. Um, anyway, it's really cool that the Irish called me Little Master. You know, playfully. Like I say, the Irish and the Germans and even the British were really nice and really caring. I guess because by accident I had accidentally helped them get their freedom or something like that, or at least stopped the black people from killing everyone. So, like I said, the Irish would playfully like jest at me and laugh with me. They'd be like, "Don't count yourself so lucky, so lucky little bastard." They did this to everyone. So, you know, it's like anyone. It didn't matter. You could have just been, out there in space, and they still would have just shot you just because they could. So anyway, so anyway, and some Irish people basically said, "Well, you were basically just too powerful to kill." They tried. You were too well protected, so you were able to just resist them and without even trying. You know, because the black people were basically slamming their head against. They were basically like full on like animal like just trying to get in. And but there wasn't really a room. You know what I mean? They were just like animal instinct. Like I said, basically the black king or black leader had basically classified his race into four groups. Like protectors and everything. Like this black guy with a lot of power and a lot of money had basically wanted all these things done, and all these sub races of black, basically like three sub races of black that were, they're just like animals, like you know um like there's a sort of bat kind of like black person and all that, and all this and all that, but I mean it was basically like you know he was a well-made creature and everything, but it possessed no real intelligence, and pretty much just they killed it right away, basically, because I mean they let a few of them run wild. Like I said, the black people just let things out, into the world, and then they would have guns and stuff, so they just, if it came near them, you know. Anyway, the black people set up this weird little society kind of thing, and they really only reigned for they only really had true power for like one generation, or about 30 or 40 years, um, and then they kind of lost it, but it stayed locked up for a while, and anyway, it's all the records were destroyed and all the films were burned of all the black people whipping the white people and everything else. A lot of the other people races were like, well, the children, it's not the children's fault, it's this one guy. So, like I said, it was one black person that just made a choice, a free will thing. Anyway, the Irish said it's always a free will thing. He just decided to do this, and we don't know why or anything, but this is what he did. He started out normal enough, just like everybody else. Then he went seriously wrong. Anyway, it was a black person and some Yankees and some other people. So anyway, the Irish told me about it afterwards. When they found me. Anyway, something I had done had basically led to their freedom. I think it's because I was buying them or something like that, and had them in my mines, and I was letting them dig throughout my mountain. Like I owned a mountain or two, and a couple mountains, and so I would buy things and stuff like that, and basically allow Irish and German and whoever to work in my mines, and they would, basically do whatever they wanted, pretty much, and they were able to gain their own freedom and fought back the Black Plague. Like I said, this one black guy was like, "We are like a plague." It's like Mr. Brown. He's like, "We're like a plague, and we will give you the black spot," or something like that. I don't really know. I mean, he just went on and on and on about how glorious and awesome he was. Like I say, I mean, you know, I wasn't really with the white people. I was actually, I had my own races and my own life form types, and I had created black people and created some white people and created some endoskeletons, but I wasn't responsible for anything. It just kind of happened, and a thing of free will and all that, and this black guy had thought he could maintain power forever. He was the German king or whatever. He was the Japanese king and the Chinese king or Chinese emperor. It was like 30 or 40 black people that basically controlled the whole world. Anyway, the Irish told me all about it. Told me everything about it. I mean, all the word "all" didn't really exist back then. Like I said, all is a new word, and back then it was everything or whatever. Of course, the human language was a lot more limited back then. Black people didn't really feel the need. Like I said, black people possessed no real language other than, and they would like poke at people or just grab people. They had kind of de-evolved, or at least most of them had. Although there were probably 30 or 40 people, or a couple thousand, or a couple million people that I didn't see or didn't know about. I don't know. Honestly, I cleaned up their genes and everything else like that, thinking that maybe that would help. And I asked what happened, and they said they did this to themselves. They turned themselves. Their king turned the rest of them into that. I was like, what? Like, yeah, you de-evolved them. Anyway, yeah. So no one could ever threaten him ever. So the Irish told me all about it, and so did the Germans. They told me everything about everything and basically what had happened, while I was away. And so, anyway, yeah, I mean, it was like 400,000 years ago, or 45,000 years ago was their heyday. They had a little bit of an empire that they maintained for a while, and that's because they had exterminated everything else on the planet. And then, things started coming back, and then, there was a big war, and basically they maintained power, or maintained what's called with some Yankees for a little while. Presidents of the planet. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. It's not that I have anything against color or anything else like that, but it was just this one guy that was psychotic. So, or this one family, and like I said, he had some white Yankees with him and stuff, and it's hard to say if it was black or white or what. Yeah, like I said, they went after me just because I was out there in the world and in existence, and I went by the name Lucifer White. So they ran around saying, "Stop the white power, stop the white," and all that and stuff. Like I said, I genetically created opium and cocaine and stuff like that, and done a lot of other stuff. So anyway, it's thousands of years ago and 50 million years ago, 50 trillion years ago for me. So anyway, they tried to kill me for about 100 billion years or 500 billion years, and then eventually later on I'm here. So it's like, anyway, you can research it and look it up, but pretty much there was a Black Empire that dwarfed and shadowed everything else, and Brown was very proud of his empire. Anyway, yeah, basically some black people had trusted him or trusted some people, and like I said, with Mr. Brown or Mr. Black, that was a mistake. If you trust him for even a second, he would turn on you and stab you in the back and laugh about it. So anyway, pretend to be a nice guy or a normal guy, and then basically went psycho on everyone. So anyway, that's why the Black Canyon, because there's some black cannons there. But Mr. Black said, "Oh, it's black because of black." I mean, he said he owned everything, but he didn't really. He did enslave quite a few people, and anyway, yeah.